My father did not mean to send me the voice text that ended our relationship. I was sitting in my car outside a grocery store, holding a bag of ice against my wrist because I had banged it on the trunk when his message came through. It was only 18 seconds long. At first, I thought he was calling my name. Then I realized he was not talking to me at all. "Don't tell Olivia about the down payment," he said. "She'll make it about fairness again. Megan needs this, and I am not listening to another speech about college." There was a pause. Then he laughed, like I was a tired old story everyone in the house already knew. "Just tell her we are tight right now if she asks." That was it. 18 seconds. I played it 3 times in the parking lot. By the 3rd time, my hand had gone so cold that the bag of ice started slipping through my fingers. My name is Olivia. I was 29 years old, and until that afternoon, I still believed my father had failed me because life was expensive, not because he had chosen to. That sounds simple when I say it now. It was not simple while I was living inside it. When your parent tells you no often enough and always sounds sorry, you do not immediately call it rejection. You call it bad timing. You call it money being tight. You call it being the older one. You call it trying to be fair to everyone. Then one day, a voice text lands in your phone by mistake, and you realize your father had a category in his head for everyone. Megan needed things. His wife deserved peace. I made things about fairness. My father, Robert, remarried when I was 10. My mother had been gone for 2 years by then. Not dead, just gone in the way adults sometimes leave a family, and everyone else has to build a polite sentence around it. My father told people she was not ready to be a mother. I grew up hearing that and trying very hard to be the kind of daughter no one had to be ready for. Quiet, helpful, easy. Then my father married Linda. Linda had a daughter named Megan, 1 year younger than me, with shiny hair, a pink backpack, and a talent for looking wounded whenever the room did not bend toward her. I do not mean that cruelly. Megan was a child too, but the adults around us decided her pain needed cushions and mine needed discipline. The first week after they moved in, my father sat me down at the kitchen table and said, "Megan has had a hard time. I need you to be patient." I nodded. He said, "You are already so mature, Liv." That became the sentence that stole things from me for years. You are already so mature. It meant Megan got the bigger bedroom because she needed to feel welcome. It meant I stopped taking piano after 1 semester because 2 sets of lessons were expensive and Megan had just started dance. It meant when Megan cried because I had my mother's old necklace, Linda suggested maybe I should keep it in a drawer so Megan would not feel left out. My father said, "Just for now." Just for now lasted until I moved out. At 10, I thought maturity was a prize. Adults praised it. Teachers praised it. Neighbors told my father he was lucky because I was so low maintenance. No one told me low maintenance children are often just children who learned the cost of needing something. The first time I remember money becoming a test was in 7th grade. There was a school trip to Washington, D.C. It was not fancy. A bus, 2 nights in a hotel, museums, packed lunches. I wanted to go so badly that I folded the permission form into perfect squares and kept it in my backpack for 3 days before asking. My father looked at the cost and sighed. "Liv, honey, we are tight right now." I nodded because nodding was what I did. He touched my shoulder. "You understand, right?" I said yes. That weekend, Linda took Megan to buy new costumes for a dance competition. I remember the garment bag hanging from the back of a chair. Silver sequins. Rhinestones along the neckline. Linda called it an investment because Megan had real potential. I did not say anything, but I kept the permission form in my desk until the trip was over. I do not know why. Maybe some part of me wanted proof that I had asked. Proof becomes important when a family keeps telling you your memory is the problem. High school was where the pattern got harder to ignore. Megan got braces first, even though my dentist had been telling my father for years that my bite needed work. Linda said Megan was self-conscious about her smile. I learned to smile with my mouth closed. Megan got a used car when she was 16 because Linda said dance rehearsals were too much driving. I got a bus pass because my part-time job was good for me. Megan's senior pictures were taken by a photographer with a studio and a field full of golden grass. My father took mine behind our house on a Saturday morning because it was raining later and he wanted to get it done. Every time I noticed, I felt ashamed of noticing. That was the trap. If I complained, I was jealous. If I stayed quiet, the unfairness became normal. My father was good at sounding tired instead of guilty. Megan's situation is different. Linda is worried about her. You have always been stronger. Do not make this into a competition. I did not want a competition. I wanted a father who did not treat my lack of crying as proof I needed less. When I got into a state university, I was so proud I printed the acceptance email and put it in a cheap frame. My father hugged me in the kitchen and said my mother would have been proud, which was one of the only times he mentioned her without bitterness. Then the deposit came due, $400. I asked him if he could help me pay it until my summer job started. He looked pained. Liv, I wish you had told me earlier. I had told him the same week I got in, but I watched his face and swallowed the correction. He said money was tight. I said I understood. He said, you always do. That weekend, Megan came home with a laptop my father had helped buy because she was starting community college in the fall, and Linda said she needed something reliable. It was silver. New. Still had the plastic on it. I paid my deposit with a credit card. Then I spent the first semester working evenings in the dining hall and pretending I was not angry every time my father called to ask if I was settling in okay. The second semester, I needed books for a biology class. The total was almost $600 because one professor insisted on a new lab manual with an access code. I texted my father, "Can you help with part of this? I can pay you back by May." He replied almost immediately, "I am sorry, kiddo. We are stretched thin. Ask financial aid." I stared at the word kiddo for a long time. It sounded loving if you did not know how often it came wrapped around no. 2 weeks later, Megan posted a picture from a beach trip with Linda and my father. The caption said, "Best surprise before classes start again." I saved the picture, not because I planned to use it, because I was starting to feel crazy. That is what unequal love does when it comes with a smile. It makes you collect tiny pieces of reality in secret. After college, I stopped asking for money. That should have made things better. It did not, because once I stopped needing my father financially, he started needing me emotionally. I was the one who remembered his prescriptions after he had a blood pressure scare. I was the one who called on Father's Day even when he forgot my birthday until the next morning. I was the one who drove 2 hours to help him clean the garage because Linda said Megan was too busy with wedding planning. Megan's wedding was the first adult event that made the old wound fresh again. My father called me 6 months before the ceremony and asked if I could come early the day before to help set up centerpieces. I said yes. Then he said, "And try not to bring up money stuff while you are here." I was folding laundry in my apartment when he said it. I stopped with a towel in my hands. "What money stuff?" He sighed. "Olivia. Just my name. Like my entire personality was a difficult topic." I said, "I have not asked you for money in 7 years. I know. I just mean Linda is stressed, and Megan wants the day to feel happy. What do I have to do with that?" "You can get a tone." I laughed because if I did not, I was going to cry. I had a tone. Megan had a wedding my father was helping pay for. I drove down anyway. The rehearsal dinner was at a restaurant with linen napkins and a private room. My father gave a toast about how proud he was to walk Megan into her new life. He said, "Every parent dreams of giving their daughter a beautiful day." I sat at a table near the back with 2 cousins and a basket of bread. He did not look at me when he said daughter. Maybe he meant both of us. Maybe he did not. That was the kind of ambiguity I had been living on for years. At the wedding, I fixed Megan's veil because Linda was crying too hard to do it. Megan looked beautiful. I told her so, and I meant it. Then my father walked her down the aisle. When he gave his speech, he said, "From the moment I met Megan, I knew I had been given another chance to be the father a little girl deserved." People clapped. I felt my face go numb. Another chance. Not a second daughter. Not a fuller family. Another chance. As if the first one had been a failed attempt. I stayed through cake. I helped pack vases into Linda's car. I drove home that night with my dress unzipped at the back because I could not breathe in it anymore. The next morning, my father texted me, "Thanks for being mature yesterday." It meant a lot. I did not answer for 2 days. Then I wrote, "You're welcome." That was the old Olivia, the one who could be wounded and still send polite punctuation. For the next year, I kept contact lighter. I called less. I visited on holidays, but stayed in hotels when I could afford it. I stopped offering to fix every small thing my father complained about. He noticed. Parents always notice when the child they trained to absorb pain starts absorbing less. One Sunday, he called and said, "You have been distant." I said, "I have been busy." He said, "Megan says you still seem upset about the wedding." Of course, Megan said that. Did Megan say why? He sighed, "Because you think everything is about fairness." There was that word again, fairness. In my family, fairness was not a value. It was an accusation. If I asked why Megan got something, and I did not, I was making it about fairness. If I asked why my father remembered her milestones and forgot mine, I was making it about fairness. If I asked why the daughter who needed less was always given less, I was making it about fairness. I said, "Maybe because some things were unfair." He said, "You are almost 30 years old." I said, "That does not change what happened when I was 15. He got quiet. Then he said, "I did the best I could." That sentence is hard to argue with because it pretends to be an apology while asking you to comfort the person who hurt you. I said, "I know you want that to be enough." He said, "I am not doing this today." Then he hung up. 3 months later, he sent the voice text. "Don't tell Olivia about the down payment. She'll make it about fairness again. Megan needs this. Just tell her we are tight right now if she asks. It is strange what your body remembers when a lie finally opens." I did not scream. I did not call him. I did not text. Wrong person. I sat in that grocery store parking lot and listened until the voice stopped sounding like my father and started sounding like evidence. Then I saved it. I forwarded it to my email. I backed it up to a folder on my laptop. Then I went home and pulled out every old phone, every cloud backup, every screenshot I had kept because some quiet part of me had refused to let the family story erase mine. The first folder was college. There was the text about the $400 deposit. "I am sorry, kiddo. We are stretched thin." 3 days later, in an old photo Linda had posted, Megan was holding the new laptop in our kitchen, with my father giving a thumbs up behind her. The second folder was the biology books. Ask financial aid. 2 weeks later, beach trip. The third was my car. When my old Honda died at 22, I asked my father if he could co-sign a small loan because my credit was thin. He said he could not take on risk at his age. That same month, Megan posted a picture in front of a white SUV with a bow on it. Linda commented, "Dad came through again." Dad. Not stepdad. Dad. I used to tell myself it was sweet. That night, it felt like a receipt. By midnight, I had a timeline. It was not perfect. It did not include every dollar. It was not a legal case, and I did not need it to be. It was a map of every time my father had told me the door was closed because the house was empty, while another room was full of gifts. I slept for 2 hours. At 6 in the morning, my father texted me, "Please delete that voice message. It was not meant for you." I stared at it in bed, the phone resting on my chest. Not "I am sorry," not "I need to explain," not "I should have told you." Delete it. That was the moment I stopped feeling like a daughter asking to be seen. I felt like a witness. I wrote back, "Why?" He replied, "Because it will only hurt people." I wrote, "It hurt me already." He did not answer for 20 minutes. Then Linda texted me, "Your father is very upset. Please do not punish Megan because he helped her." I almost laughed at how fast the family machine turned on. Megan needed. Dad helped. Olivia punished. I wrote back, I have not contacted Megan. Linda replied, then keep it that way. She is under stress with the house. The house. So it was true. I did not ask for the amount. Linda gave it to me by accident 2 messages later. Your father only helped with part of the down payment. $28,000 is not what it used to be. $28,000. I had asked for $400 when I was 18. I had asked for help with books. I had asked for a cosigner. I had asked him to show up for me in small, survivable ways. $28,000. I put the phone down and walked around my apartment with no destination. Kitchen, hallway, bedroom, kitchen again. I kept thinking about the way he used to say, I wish I could. Not I won't. I wish I could. That was the cruel genius of it. He had made himself tragic instead of responsible. For the next week, I did not answer calls. I watched the messages arrive. My father, we need to talk like adults. Linda, you are creating stress during an important time. Megan, I don't know what Dad told you, but please do not ruin this for me. Aunt Carol, your father loves both his girls. Money is complicated. Both his girls. I sat with that one for a while, because if we were both his girls, then why was one of us always asked to understand, and the other always understood as needing? I started replying only with screenshots. When my father wrote, I helped you plenty, I sent the college deposit text. When Linda wrote, Megan never asked for special treatment, I sent the photo of the laptop and the date. When Aunt Carol wrote, this is not worth losing family over, I sent the voice text. That one changed things. Aunt Carol called me immediately. I did not pick up. She left a voicemail. Liv, honey, I did not know he said that. That was all. For some reason, that almost broke me more than the anger, because it meant I was not crazy. Someone else had heard it. Someone else knew. The family gathering happened 2 weeks later. It was my father's 60th birthday. And before the voice text, I had planned to go early and help set up. I had ordered the cake. I had made a playlist. I had bought him a vintage baseball cap from the team he loved. After the voice text, I still went, not to celebrate, to return the role. Linda looked relieved when I walked in, which told me she thought my presence meant surrender. My father stood by the grill in the backyard, wearing an apron that said King of the Kitchen. Megan was on the patio showing people pictures of the house. White cabinets, big windows, a little yard where she said they might put a play set someday. I stood near the sliding door and listened. My father said they got a good deal because they moved fast. Megan said we could not have done it without Dad. Everyone smiled. No one looked at me. That used to be the arrangement. Megan's good fortune could be admired as long as I did not become visible beside it. My father came over and hugged me with one arm. Thank you for coming, he said into my hair. I stepped back. I brought something. His smile flickered. Liv. Just my name again. The warning version. Linda appeared beside him. Today is not the day. I looked at her. It never is. People were starting to notice. A cousin turned down the music. Megan stopped mid-sentence near the patio table. My father said, quietly, do not do this. I said, do not do what? Make a scene. That was what the family called truth when it arrived without permission. I took out my phone. He reached for my wrist. Not hard, just enough to remind me he still thought he could stop me. I stepped back. No, the room or the yard really went quiet. I pressed play. My father's voice came out of my phone, tinny and clear. Don't tell Olivia about the down payment. She'll make it about fairness again. Megan needs this. And I am not listening to another speech about college. Just tell her we are tight, right now if she asks. No one moved. Megan's face went red. Linda whispered, Robert. My father looked at me like I had slapped him in front of everyone. I said, How much was the down payment? He did not answer. Megan said, "This is not fair." That word in her mouth almost made me laugh. "I agree," I said. She started crying. Linda moved toward her immediately. "Of course she did," my father said. "Olivia, this is between you and me." "No," I said. "It became a family topic when all of you spent years telling me I was jealous, sensitive, and difficult every time I noticed the truth." Aunt Carol was standing near the drinks table. She looked down at her cup. My father said, "I helped her buy a house. Parents help their children." I nodded. "Yes, they do." Then I opened the folder in my bag. I had printed only 6 pages. I did not want a trial. I wanted a mirror, the college deposit text, the biology book text, the car loan text, the screenshot of Megan's laptop, the SUV photo with Linda's comment, the voice text transcript. I placed them on the patio table one at a time. $400, I said, touching the first page. My father closed his eyes. "Books," I said, touching the second. "A co-signer," I said, touching the third. Then I touched the transcript. $28,000. Megan said, "You kept screenshots from years ago." I looked at her. "Yes, that is weird. Being lied to for years makes people keep receipts." My father said, "Enough." I had never heard him use that voice with Megan, only with me. The voice that said the discussion was over because his discomfort had become the most important person in the room. But I was not 15 anymore. I said, "No, I am not done." His face changed. I said, "You told me there was no money when I needed help getting to school. You told me there was no money when I needed books. You told me there was no money when I needed a safe car. Then you paid for trips, cars, wedding pieces, and now a house. That was your choice." He said, "I did what I had to do to keep the peace." "Whose peace?" He did not answer. I said, "Because it was never mine." Linda stepped forward. Megan came into this family wounded. I turned to her. So did I. That stopped her. For 1 second, I saw it land. Not enough to change anything, but enough that she could not pretend she had never considered it. My father said, "You had me." I looked at him. "No, I had access to you when I did not ask for anything." The whole yard went still again. That was the sentence I had not planned. It was the truest one. I had a father when I was easy. Megan had a father when she needed. Those are not the same thing. My father looked smaller then, older, not cruel in the movie villain way, just weak and exposed and angry that weakness finally had a name. He said, "What do you want from me?" For years, I would have had a list, an apology, an explanation, maybe one sentence that admitted I had not imagined it. But standing there, with the voice text still open on my phone, I realized I did not want him to give me anything. I wanted to stop waiting. I said, "Nothing." He looked confused. "What?" "I do not want anything from you." Megan wiped her face and said, "Then why are you doing this?" "Because I am done being the only person who has to know quietly." I picked up the baseball cap from my bag, the gift I had bought before everything broke open. I set it on the table beside the papers. "Happy birthday." Then I left. No one followed me. That hurt more than I expected. Even after all of that, some child part of me thought my father might run after me, not to defend himself, not to silence me, just to say my name like he was afraid to lose me. He did not. He stayed in the backyard with the daughter he had chosen to protect from discomfort. I drove home without music. Halfway there, my phone started buzzing. My father called 7 times. Linda called twice. Megan sent one text. "You ruined his birthday." I pulled into a gas station, parked under the bright white lights, and typed back. No, I returned the truth to it. Then I blocked her for the night. My father left a voicemail at 11:43 that night. His voice was hoarse. "Liv, you embarrassed me in front of everyone. I know you are hurt, but you do not understand the position I was in. Linda was trying to blend families. Megan needed stability. You were always so strong. I thought you could handle more. I listened to that part twice. I thought you could handle more. That was the closest he ever came to telling the truth. Not I thought it was fair. Not I did not notice. I thought you could handle more. He had seen the weight. He had just kept adding to my side because I did not collapse in front of him. The next morning, I wrote him an email because I knew if I called, I would soften when he sounded old. I wrote, I am not asking you to pay me back. I am not asking you to take money away from Megan. I am not asking you to rewrite the past. I am telling you I am done performing the role you gave me. I will not be the mature daughter who absorbs less so everyone else can have more. I will not be the daughter who calls on every holiday. So you can feel like you did not lose me while still refusing to see me. I will not help manage your appointments, your house repairs, your marriage stress, or your guilt. If you want a relationship with me, it starts with one honest sentence. I had money. I chose not to give it to you. Until you can say that without blaming my tone, Megan's needs, Linda's stress, or my age, do not call me. I read it 5 times. Then I sent it. He did not answer for 3 days. On the 4th day, he sent, I am sorry you feel this way. That was the last gift he gave me. Clarity. I blocked his number after that. Not forever. I told myself at first, just for a week. Then a week became a month. A month became Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving morning, Aunt Carol sent me a picture of the table with an empty chair and wrote, Your dad is heartbroken. I stared at the empty chair. For years, I had been at tables where my absence would have made less noise than my needs. Now, the empty chair was finally doing what I had been too polite to do. It was making people uncomfortable. I wrote back, I hope he talks to someone about why. She replied, He is your father. I replied, I know. That was the whole problem. Christmas came. Linda sent a card. Inside, she had written, Family should not keep score. I almost threw it away. Instead, I put it in the folder. Not because I needed more proof. Because it was perfect. Family should not keep score is something people say when they have been winning quietly for years. In January, my father sent a check for $400. No note, just a check. $400. The college deposit amount. I sat at my kitchen table and looked at it until the number blurred. For a few minutes, I let myself imagine a softer version of the story. Maybe this was his way of saying he remembered. Maybe this was the beginning. Maybe this was as much as he could do. Then I turned the check over. On the memo line, he had written, for fairness, not for college. Not I am sorry, for fairness. Like fairness was still my little obsession. Like he was paying a fine to a word I had invented. I did not cash it. I mailed it back with a copy of my email and one line on a sticky note. You still cannot say it. 2 days after that, Aunt Carol asked me to meet for coffee. She said it would just be the 2 of us. I should have known better. The cafe was halfway between my apartment and my father's house, the kind of place with chalkboard menus and tiny tables that make private pain feel strangely public. I arrived 5 minutes early because I still had the old habit of proving I was reasonable. Aunt Carol was already there. So was Linda. For 1 second, I almost turned around and left. Then I saw my father sitting at a table in the back, both hands around a paper cup he had not opened. He looked up when I walked in. Hope moved across his face before guilt covered it. That was the thing about my father. He always hoped I would make the hard part easier for him. Aunt Carol stood up quickly. Liv, please, just sit down for 5 minutes. I looked at Linda. She said, we all need to stop hurting each other. I said, I did not invite anyone here under false pretenses. Linda's mouth tightened. My father said, your aunt was trying to help. I sat down because suddenly I wanted to know what they thought help looked like. Aunt Carol started softly, too softly. Your father knows mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. 14 letters that turn people into weather. I said, by who? She blinked. What? Mistakes were made by who? My father rubbed his forehead. Liv, don't do this. I opened my bag and took out the return check. The one he had written for $400. The one with "for fairness" on the memo line. I placed it on the table between us. This is what you sent me instead of an apology. Linda leaned forward. He was trying. No, I said. He was mocking the word I used because he still thinks fairness is a childish complaint. My father looked wounded. That is not what I meant. Then what did you mean? He opened his mouth, closed it. Linda answered for him. He meant he remembers the college deposit. I turned to her. Then he could have written that. Aunt Carol put a hand on the table like she was calming a child. We are not here to parse every word. I said. My father looked at me then, and for a second I saw anger again, not grief, anger that I had stopped accepting blurry answers. He said, you want me to say I chose wrong? I said, yes. He swallowed. I chose wrong. The words came out flat, like he was reading from a card. Linda immediately touched his arm. Robert. I watched them. Her protecting him from the consequence of one true sentence. Him letting her. Say the rest, I said. He stared at me. What rest? Say you had money. The cafe noise seemed to thin around us. Cups, milk steam, someone laughing near the door. My father looked down at the check. I said, say, I had money. I chose not to give it to you. Aunt Carol whispered, Olivia. I did not look away from him. My father said, it was not that simple. There it was, the door closing again. I picked up the check. Then we are done. Linda's face flushed. You are humiliating him. No, I said. I am asking him to tell the truth in a coffee shop. He humiliated me for years in my own head. My father looked up sharply. That sentence got through, I said. Do you know what it feels like to be told no so gently that you blame yourself for needing anything? Do you know what it feels like to sit in a college dining hall at midnight eating leftover fries because your father said he was stretched thin, then see pictures of a beach trip 2 weeks later? He did not answer. Do you know what it feels like to watch him give a wedding speech about another chance to be the father a little girl deserved while you were sitting 10 tables back, trying not to cry into bread? Linda looked away. Aunt Carol covered her mouth. My father did not move. I said, I am not asking for your money. I am asking you to stop pretending my pain is a bookkeeping error. His eyes filled with tears. For a moment, I thought he might do it. I thought he might say the sentence. Then he whispered, I cannot change the past. I nodded. No. But you keep trying to edit it. I stood up. Aunt Carol said, please don't leave like this. I looked at my father. This is exactly how I am leaving, with my memory intact. Then I walked out before anyone could make me sit back down and be mature one more time. After that, the call stopped. The flying monkeys did not stop, but they got quieter. People do not like to argue with evidence forever. Eventually, they have to admit they are not confused. They just want you to come back because your absence is inconvenient. Megan closed on the house in February. I know because someone sent me a screenshot of her post. New keys, new chapter. So grateful for the people who show up. For the first time, I did not save it. I did not need to. The proof had already done its job. On my 30th birthday, my father sent an email. The subject line was just my name, Olivia. I opened it at work during lunch against my better judgment. He wrote that he missed me. He wrote that he had made mistakes. He wrote that parents are human. He wrote that Megan never asked him to choose. Then, near the end, he wrote, I hope one day you can understand that I gave Megan more because I was afraid of losing my new family, and I thought you would always be there. I read that sentence until my lunch break ended. There it was. Not the exact sentence I had asked for, but close enough to hurt in a new way. He had been afraid of losing them. He had not been afraid of losing me because I had trained him not to be. I answered that night. I wrote, "Thank you for finally saying part of it, but I need you to understand something. You did lose me. Not because you helped Megan, because you counted on my loyalty while investing in everyone else's comfort. I am not ready to speak. Do not come to my apartment. Do not send relatives. Do not send money. If I ever want contact, I will reach out." I pressed send and felt no relief. That is something people do not tell you about going no contact. It does not feel like victory at first. It feels like holding a door closed while the little girl inside you keeps asking why nobody knocked sooner. But over time, quiet becomes proof too. My Sundays got lighter. My birthday passed without me checking my phone every hour. Father's Day came, and I did not stand in a card aisle trying to find something honest enough to send and soft enough not to start a fight. I bought flowers for myself instead. White tulips. My mother used to like them. At least, I think she did. Memory gets thin when people leave early. Sometimes I still miss my father, not the man from the voice text, the one who braided my hair badly before school after my mother left, the one who taught me how to check tire pressure, the one who cried at my fifth grade choir concert because I had a solo. That version existed. That is what makes it hard. People want betrayal to come from someone who never loved you, because then the math is clean. But my father loved me in the ways that cost him little. He failed me in the ways that required choosing me when someone else might be upset. The voice text did not create that truth. It only said it out loud. Last month, Aunt Carol sent one more message. "Your father keeps the baseball cap on his dresser." I looked at it for a long time. Then I wrote back, "I hope it reminds him to be honest with the people still in his life." She sent a heart. I did not answer. The folder is still on my laptop. The voice text is still backed up. I have not listened to it in months. I do not need to. I remember every word. Don't tell Olivia. She'll make it about fairness again. He was right about one thing. I did make it about fairness. Because after 20 years of being called mature for accepting less, fairness was the first word that told the truth. My father had money, just not for me. And now he has my silence. That is the only thing I have left to give him.